The Hitman series is one with a long history. The first game in the iconic series released in the year 2000 and led to multiple sequels. The mainline series was well received, with Blood Money being a particular fan favourite. In 2012, Hitman Absolution released, but this had mixed reactions from the community. Some enjoyed the new innovations it brought to the table. However, many others did not enjoy the fact that the game swayed away from what made them like the series in the first place. After a hiatus of almost 4 years, Square Enix finally announced a new entry into the series and would act as a soft reboot to the franchise. The question is, did this new take on Hitman help take the series into the modern era of gaming, or would it fall flat and not do the right things to please fans who crave a quality stealth game? Well, sit back, maybe even grab some popcorn as I review Hitman and aim to answer that question. So, what does this game do incredibly well? Firstly, the sandbox. Every location in this game feels so expansive. This provides a seemingly endless number of possibilities and ways to get around the map to find your target. A great example of this for me is in the first mission, which is set in Paris. In the level, you have 2 main targets. Both of these are set in different sections around the map. You must therefore explore one of the many ways to get inside the building and complete the mission. How that's done is completely up to the player. Here are some examples of ways you can get into the building. Take a security guard disguise and progressively make your way up the building. Get into the security room, do some parkour, and then get into the office where the target is waiting. Or you could take the less stealthy option of running your way through and try not to get shot by the guards. These are just a few of the many ways that you can get to this one target in this mission. Once there, I like to take out all the guards, wait till my target is alone, shoot them, and walk out like absolutely nothing happened. All of these different methods show the replayability of the game. You'll find yourself coming back and still finding new ways to get into the building and take out your target. You may now be wondering, how do I stealth my way through to the targets? And that's where Hitman's fantastic yet hilarious disguises come into play. Many areas of the game require certain disguises to get through, such as different tiers of security in buildings. These outfits can either be found in logical areas around the map, or by taking out a guard and simply wearing his outfit. Once wearing the outfit, the player has access to more areas and it makes it much more easier to explore the expansive maps. These disguises add a layer of difficulty to the game, with the player unable to traverse the map without them. It also encourages exploration around the map in order to find ways to obtain them. Overall, it prevents the game being just this, to a game that has a feeling of freshness every time the player enters a level, as there are always new encounters and approaches that can be taken. This is by far the most important part in ensuring the game isn't just something you play once, but instead something that can be played multiple times to find new ways to take out your targets. The last thing I want to mention in the incredible section is the graphics and overall presentation of the game. Now I want to clarify, the last thing I rank a game on is graphics, but I think here they are absolutely stunning. And the presentation of the game is really incredible too. Every level provides an atmosphere akin to the place in real life. My favourite example of this is when you're thrown into Marrakesh. You're walking around early on in the tight streets with loads of people around. It really is immersive. I've put this in the incredible section because I think it enhances the gameplay being this immersed into the game. The AI in this game is another huge improvement. Most guards will have a post in which they cover, and they will not let you pass them. You therefore must use your initiative and disguises to find a way around this. As you can see here in the gameplay, even with me being past the barrier, I still have to worry about this guard going on a patrol. The AI therefore brings a sense of tension to the game, as even with all the tools in the sandbox the game gives you, there's still the chance that guards will find out who you are. That leads to another feature of the AI, that being certain guards recognising that you might be an imposter. These guards have a white dot over their head, to signify they might spot you. If this happens, your cover is completely blown, and that means you're compromised whenever wearing that disguise again. And yes, that does mean these guards will shoot on sight. However, let's just say that you made a mistake, and you didn't actually mean to trespass. Well, the guards have a smart mechanic in place where they can take you out of these areas and not shoot you on sight. This provides a safety net to the player if they accidentally stumble into the wrong area, because in reality, The normal civilian isn't going to be gunned down after a little bit of trespassing. The final thing the AI does in Hitman better than other stealth games is how they treat threats. What do I mean by this? Well, if you were to kill a high value target in the mission, the guards will be scrambling for ages to find out where you are. Whereas in other stealth games, they might have a look what happened and then walk away. Now, let's move on to the opportunities mechanic in the game. So, how does the opportunity system work? Well, they act as a small mission pathway that leads you to your target. Most of these have comedic undertones, which make the whole experience more enjoyable. Each target in the mission has a few opportunities related to them, giving the player a reason to go back and try new ones, to see which one leads to the best outcome. An example of this is in the mission set in Thailand. Your target is a member of a band. When I initially played the game many years ago, I followed the hilarious opportunity which led to this outcome. However, when replaying the game for this review, I found one that may have made me laugh even more. Since when did Agent 47 become a master drummer? To give you an idea on how this system really works, I will show you this opportunity from the beginning. Firstly, you must disguise yourself as the drummer. Once you have this disguise, you are then free to explore more areas of the map.
I'll give you the short
Mr.
version,
Silva,
darling.
how are you?
Nobody gets in or out except for VIPs and crew.
After talking to the main man himself, he asks you to play the drums for him, which is where we get that epic scene of Agent 47 joining a band. After this, you seem to win his trust, and he asks you for a private chat on a rooftop. This therefore acts as the perfect opportunity to take him out.
Target down.
Overall, the opportunity system provides countless funny times and great gameplay scenarios. As you've probably noticed throughout this section, there's a lot of comedy to be found in this game, so I want to give it a slight mention at the end of this section, because I think after so many years, I think it's one of the reasons I keep coming back to the game. I'll now talk about the areas of the game that I find to be average. The only area of the game I find to be average, to be honest, is the storyline. Now, it might be a bit harsh to put the story in the average section, but I just don't think it really does enough to be in the good or incredible section here. The storyline begins with us following Agent 47 as he joins the ICA, who are a company who give out contracts that 47 must complete. We meet our main villain of the story shortly after the Paris mission, this being the Shadow Client. The Shadow Client seems to always be one step ahead of 47 throughout the story, and takes the intel that he requires. The rest of the game follows this pattern of the Shadow Client always being one step of Agent 47. While all of this is going on, we learn that the targets Agent 47 has been taken out throughout the game have been from a company called Providence. Not much is really known about this company, other than the fact that they influence global affairs from the shadows. Towards the end of the game, 47 decides to finally hunt down the Shadow Client, but whilst going after him, stumbles upon a room that shows this.
The plot thickens.
Someone left in a hurry.
Sean Rose was not the Shadow Client. That much is clear. Whoever commands the militia, they got out just in time. Look around, 47. We're getting closer.
This could suggest many things. However, the common belief is that the target could be 47 all along. At the end of the game, a deal is then made with Providence to hunt down the Shadow Client, which perfectly sets up a sequel. Again, I'll reiterate, I don't think this story is bad by any means, but I think at times it was a bit predictable and doesn't do anything particularly outstanding compared to other stories I've played.
That's not a name.
So make it one.
All right. Agent 47.
The only part of the game that I can throw in the bad section is something that I didn't even experience myself. A traditional video game would usually launch with all the content on disc, maybe with some added DLC later down the line. Not naming names, but certain video games do not release with enough content, but that's besides the point here. Because when Hitman launched in 2016, it brought with it a new episodic style of releasing content. This meant the game only launched with one map, that was Paris. Then we had to wait to the end of the year for the game to be fully complete. Whilst this new style may have kept the player base on their toes throughout the entire year of content, it meant the launch state of the game was very lackluster. Even with Paris having all these possibilities and a massive sandbox available, it meant that by the release of the second map, most players were already tired of the first map, but therefore are less likely to go back to it in future updates. Whilst I appreciate they tried something new here, I think it's clear that it just did not work. With both sequels, Hitman 2 and Hitman 3, both ditching the style and moving to a more traditional style of releasing content, where on release, the game has all the maps and missions that it requires. The original question I posed at the start of this video was, could this soft reboot of Hitman bring the game into the modern era of gaming? And if it wasn't obvious by the praise I have given it, I think it's achieved just that. It has done the things that made the first games so popular, in terms of its sandbox and expansive level design, whilst also bringing in new innovations, such as the opportunities or improved AI mechanics into the game. Overall, its features all come together to create a game that is a joy to play, and is one that I have gone back to on many occasions and had an absolute blast. Despite its average story, I believe it's a game that can be played out of context of the story, with the player able to drop in to any level at any time, depending on what sort of gameplay experience they are after. Looking at reviews at the time, it seems journalists and players alike rated the game highly. I myself like to rank games very precisely, so I'm giving Hitman, the soft reboot, an 81 out of 100 score. I would highly recommend it to anyone looking for a great stealth game, and I would recommend it to anyone looking for a fun experience. The game has gone on to produce 2 sequels, which I will most likely review in future. What we can say is, Hitman has become a staple of the modern stealth genre.